Okay, well, welcome to the New Year's special for Life Change Transformation. My name is Gary Benoit, co-founder of the Frontline Resiliency Project, author of A Call for Service. I'm here as always with Maeve Langford, transformational life coach out in Ireland. I'm in Alberta, Canada. She's in near
Cork,
Cork,
Cork in Ireland,
Ireland. Yes. I was
the
going to say
real
that.
capital.
I had that in my head, and I'm like, maybe that's wrong. No, but it's right. It's always exciting to be here with Maeve. I really appreciate the collaboration. I appreciate being here with you, and really listening to your thoughts and your guidance and your ability to just really lead this conversation and this change and what's happening, especially in your world in the transformational life coaching. Please, I really think that's really awesome. So I appreciate that. So yeah, welcome. How are things going?
Well, thank you so much. And so exciting to be into the new year, new practices, new intentions and aspirations. And I just love that we're getting a chance to have this conversation now because there's definitely a kind of energy, isn't there? I mean,
Hmm.
it isn't only in January, but it's like the start of the new school year or the start of the calendar year. There's just that kind of sense of anticipation and expectation and possibilities. So great opportunity to harness that energy and to give our listeners some ideas and suggestions for how you can start strong and then just keep going in a
Hmm.
in a in a strong trajectory.
For sure. And 2024, like
I know.
it's yeah, I remember back in 1999 thinking that this day would never really, so far away, but we're here and it's pretty cool. Um we talk about New Year's, we talk about this growth, we talk about the opportunity, right, that this year holds. Ultimately, it's sitting at our fingertips, there's potential in the year. It's not been lived yet. We have this ability to really
Oh,
harness where we're going to go. And lots of times we set, as a society, New Year's resolutions, right? We set a resolution. Usually it's around some type of fitness. Like fitness is kind of those big things. I want to lose weight
big
or,
one, yeah.
that's a big one, right? Every time it has, oh, I can lose a few pounds and that's my resolution. Or maybe it's to be more kind, or maybe it's to have a better relationship, or maybe it's something in the family that you want to do, or something in your career you want to do, or it's something personal you want to get off the ground, some new project, new idea. We often set this New Year's resolution. And before we get into like how to be successful in this, I want to talk about some of the pitfalls or some of the things that happen when we set these things, because we set them with great intention, right? And we intend to do
Yeah, I think
this,
that is true. We do have good
right?
intention behind it,
Hmm.
definitely.
And then we set them, and then we're good for about, let's say, 4 to 6, let's say 4 to 6 weeks. Let's say we're on fire with it for about 4 to 6 weeks. And that's about as long as our attention and our ability to see it with that new energy kind of lasts. I think that's maybe even a little bit further than normal. I might be giving it a bit more than what it actually is,
Well,
but
and I'm thinking you're kind of being ambitious
I
as
think I
well.
might
I
be,
think
yeah.
for a lot of
Right.
people, within 10 days it's
Right.
gone. But anyway,
Right. I'm
yes.
giving the benefit of the doubt for those that are like overachievers, maybe, and they're able to get to that 6 week mark. But it's 3 to 6 weeks,
Sure.
let's say. Let's say it's like before,
Yeah.
21 to days to whatever. Why do you think, what in your experience, what does it mean to when you have this resolution and you intend to do well and then something happens? What is it that really gets in the way? I think it's life. I think life gets in the way.
Okay.
I think what happens is life starts doing things to us like life always does, because life is always going to be there for us. And someone put it, we've seen the Skittles and or we call it Skittles and oranges, the rocks, the sand exercise, right? All the little things that fill our day get in the way, and we put our important things off because we'll do it tomorrow. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so on one level, I mean, I agree with you that that's the experience of it. It's like life gets in the way. I think the truth of what's happening there is that it's our habitual patterns and habits.
Hmm.
It's not life, but if we have an expectation that I'm too busy for the gym or, I'm not good enough to look different or feel different or, worthy of that in some way. It's our paradigms, Gary,
Hmm.
that are,
I
are
agree.
getting in the way. And then life is showing up consistent with the paradigms and the thinking.
Hmm.
So what most people don't realize is that like with New Year's resolutions, it's like we wish for something different, we want something different, but wishing and wanting isn't going to change anything. I
Correct.
mean, if it came down to wishing and wanting, we've all got, A pluses in that, and everybody listening, you'd all have the outcomes that you'd love. But it's
Mhm,
not about wishing and
mhm,
wanting. So
mhm,
it's about, I think, for yes, creating the vision, and then changing the thinking. We tinker with the actions. We think, I want a new result, I need to change what I'm doing. But you and I, we talk here sometimes
mhm,
about the results formula,
mhm,
and the results formula says that, my thoughts create my feelings inform the actions that I'll
mhm,
take or not take,
mhm.
and then those actions, taken or not taken, impact my results.
Correct.
So if I want to change my results, I have to track it all the way back to my
I
thinking
agree.
to sustain the new result or the
Right.
new outcome. And most of us don't think in the context of the new result. We
You're
have
right.
we haven't learned, or even been told maybe that that was something that we have to do.
100%. And then we replace that thinking with, well, it's just life,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Something that really dropped in just now is that we tend to look to outside circumstances. Like if we think about two different types of thinking, right? Vision-based thinking, which we talk from, that's kind of what we're trying to drive towards here for this,
Yes.
or common hour thinking, or just the way that kind of society and kind of the idea of around what that common place thinking looks like. We often as a society is, and I'm guilty of this as the next person, I'm not perfect at this at all whatsoever, like this happens to me all the time. I'm looking to an outside circumstance to change
Yeah.
before I start to change. And so I think, well, if I just do something outside of me, when that comes, then I'll do this. When I have more time, then I'll do this, right? When I have
Yeah.
more money, I'll be able to give more to charity. When I have, and you fill in the blank, whatever that might be, right?
Yeah.
And I think that oftentimes when we have that thing called life that we're living, it shows up, and then people go, "I'm just so busy. I'm so busy."
Mhm.
And the word busy really doesn't resonate well with me. I don't like the word busy. I think busy is I don't like it. I don't like the way the word is in my mind. I love the word full because if you're filling your calendar with something you love to do, then it's just full and it's fun. But if you're just filling it with stuff that you have, little things here and there, and you're not doing the things you would love to do, because you got to have a schedule and priorities. But I mean, ultimately, that has to change, right? You're never going to have more time. We all have the same time in the day.
Yeah.
We get 24 hours a day, right?
So I think, for anybody here who's had an experience of creating the resolution, and then, within a few weeks life has gotten in the way, maybe some of the thought patterns we could offer to support the new result could be something like, I make time for what's important,
Yes.
or everything is always working out for me.
Yes.
Or maybe we have a paradigm that says, well, either I can exercise or I can look after my kids, or either I can do a great job or I can make time for exercise in the
Right.
evening. So part of it as well is kind of shifting that either or thinking, and making thought patterns and images and pictures whereby I can have both of those things. Because none of us are going to sacrifice our kids or our career for
For sure.
going to the gym, or making a change that's a new change. So we have to have a thought pattern that says, I can be a great mom and I can go to the gym. I
Yeah.
can be a great dad and have career success. And so changing those thought patterns, so that we're thinking in ways that are in alignment or in
Mm-hmm.
harmony with the new result that we want.
Yes.
And that's the pitfall for so many people, that they haven't shifted the thinking to be in alignment with the new
Correct.
result.
And and that leads me to my next idea is that I think that also too, we set these goals and we set them, maybe it's unrealistic. Maybe the goal that you've set is maybe not a realistic or something you can't see to achieve. It's not, we're not talking about, we have a vision, of course, vision for the year. We've talked about vision, but I'm talking about the actual little things to get you towards that vision, right? So the goal initially, maybe we set it too big too. We bite too much off, right? It's too much more than we can actually handle because it's too far of a stretch. I think that's also a piece where we have to be careful as We want to have a big enough goal that we're growing, but not so much that we're like, ah, it's so hard. I think I'm just going to give up
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the paradigm
exactly.
becomes stronger, right?
Yeah,
As well as accountability. I mean, I love having accountability with people. I love telling people that I'm going to say this with an asterisk on the side. I share my ideas and my visions and my goals with them, not to brag about my position, but to hold myself accountable. If I've told them, and the asterisk is this: is that you have to hold it sacred, right? You got to hold that vision, that idea sacred, and you're only going to tell people that are going to really to support you, not the ones that are going to
yeah,
like raise an eyebrow and question what you're thinking. And right, you're going to really, it's a sacred thing. So you be careful who you share that with. But I think it's accountability is a really key piece of it. Do you not? Do you agree?
yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I mean, a couple of bits around all of that. And first of all, just to think about, we might have people in our lives that um we would trust in terms of sharing something sacred with them, but they might not come from the kind of mindset that we need them to be
that's a fair
coming
statement.
from.
Yes.
So really, again, talking to people about the people you would talk vision with and stretch goals with would be people who probably also have stretch goals in their own lives, people who absolutely believe in possibility, who when they see you, Gary, or they see me, or they see any of our listeners, that they see you in your potential, and they see you knowing that you can have and be and become anything that you conceive of for yourself.
Hmm.
Um, so they'd have that kind of mindset, and that they would be, I suppose, encouraging of, when when you do come up against the roadblocks, because we will. I mean, that's just part of the human experience. So that when we come
Yes.
up against the roadblocks, they're going to be the ones saying to you, "Well, you're bigger than that. Like, you've got this. You might know exactly the way forward, but it exists. It's in you, and all we have to do is release it."
Right.
So I think that that's part of the accountability, yes, but accountability with the right person
That's
or
fair.
the right group
Totally
of
fair.
people.
Yeah. And when we're setting these goals, like I know there's lots of strategies out there, and I'm sure people have heard various things around setting goals. And the SMART format is one that I get behind. I believe the SMART format for me, it works. I'm very analytical in my brain. I'm kind of A-type personality, and the SMART thing makes sense to me. Um, and it's just different. There's so it's specific goals, like SMART stands for specific, measurable. The A is different in some. For me, I my A is accountable, have an accountability partner. Um, I'm gonna lose my try.
Or
I, accountable. Um, oh my god, I lost it. And link to time. T is time. Link to a time. It's gotta have an end date, and it's gotta be
time bound, yeah.
specific, measurable, accountable. Um, oh my god,
Sometimes I think, do they use the word realistic?
realistic. That's the word. Jeez,
Yeah,
just totally. I'm sorry. It's gone. Just totally like
gone, and that's okay. We're here together.
that's okay. I
This is
appreciate the
why having
support
a
there. See,
co-host
that's
is a
good, right? Because
helpful
that's
thing.
perfect, right? Hey,
So
once
for
again, I'm
me,
not perfect. That's what I'm saying. This is great. But yes, realistic and then linked to time, right? So it has
yes,
to be, you have to have an end date,
yeah.
and the goal has to be somewhat realistic in the way that you can actually achieve it. Like if you made $10 a year or $10,000 a year and you want to make a million the next year, maybe that might be too big. Maybe 100,000 is your goal and not, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so again, in the same way as you were saying you don't like the word busy, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like realistic, because I
Mm-hmm.
think, most of our lives we're being told to diminish what we want, and, be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the possible in terms of what the common hours and the conditions would say. But I do agree with you that if your stretch goal or your stretch in your vision is so big that it puts you into contraction, and you get into kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not possible, I don't know myself. Then you want to rein it in, and if we could give maybe some support for how to do that around the money piece. I would say, like what you're saying, maybe if I mean, $10, yes, it's probably not what anybody's salary is
No,
at the minute,
I'm
but
just,
whatever your salary
it was just
is,
it was really hyperbole. Really, it's just
sure. So for any of us listening, like whatever your current salary is, typically the advice would be to either imagine to double or treble that usually our kind of nervous system can cope with that kind of a
hmm
jump, and then knowing that like if you want to get from 100,000 to a million, you can absolutely get there. Double it this year and then double it again, you'll be there in no time. But yeah, a kind of double or triple would be
hmm
what I think would be our practical advice to somebody on the money
sure.
front.
And I think too, like you got to look at when you word the goals. I've always believed that you have to have that approach versus avoidance language, right?
Yes,
So you
yes.
want to be
So give
wording
an
it in.
example. Yeah, make it
So
concrete
so
for
for
our
example, like
listeners.
I want to be debt free. Typically, people say I want to be debt free, and that is in my mind. I understand that. I get that. That's the way I that language I use that a lot. But what you're focusing on there essentially is you're focusing on the debt. You're saying I want to be
Yeah.
debt free. Well, debt is what the focus is. And unfortunately, because your subconscious doesn't understand, right, that you want to be free of that, it just sees the word debt mostly and it hangs on to that. And then what happens is you create a pattern of potentially creating more debt. And that was my
Yes.
pattern for a long time. It wasn't until I changed that to I am financially free or I'm financially abundant. I love financially abundant
Yes.
or financially abundant and growing in finances or something like that, where you're like, you're not just paying off your debt and getting rid of that stress, you're growing that account. And so that's what I mean by approach versus avoidance. We want to we're approaching that financially free, that expansive language rather than that, oh, I want to be debt free or something.
Exactly. Yes, again, I mean, to give another example, maybe on the health, oftentimes we think I want to lose weight, or I don't want to feel unfit, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to feel unhealthy anymore. So flipping that in terms of, well, what do you want? You want to be your perfect weight and figure. You want to be feeling fit and full of vitality. You want to wake up full of energy. You want to move with ease and
Mm-hmm.
grace or speed or whatever it is, have great
Correct.
strength in your limbs.
Yeah.
So again, I suppose it's positive language as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it
That
is.
that
It's
you
more
would be using
positive. Yeah.
positive language, what you're moving towards. And I suppose just in terms of again advice for our listeners, when you're writing your goals for yourself, even though it's an approach goal and something you're moving towards, you'd be writing it in the present tense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already, I love that I have financial freedom and abundance in my life. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm healthy and vital and slim and whatever the words are for
Correct.
you, but positive words in the present tense. And that's the start of calling it in to
Correct.
my current time and space
Right.
experience.
And I brought up finances, you brought up the health thing. We're talking about full spectrum health here. So
Yes.
um, you know, um in the coach that we have and the coach she uses, your vocation, your career as one area, your health and well-being, which is all, it's your mental health, it's your physical health, it's what you're eating, it's all that stuff in there. Your finances, which is financial freedom, right? Your money and time money freedom is the one, and the other one is relationships.
Yes.
In the certification that I took through something called ULA, there's 7 F's, and so it's the same idea, only it's broken down into 7 different areas, which is fitness, finance, family, field, faith, friends, and fun, and field being that career piece, right? And so
Okay.
it's full spectrum as well, with a few, because I think faith is in a lot of all 4 of those in our other coaching, right? I think it's a part of all of that. So I
Yes.
think there's some additional breakdown there that you may or may not resonate with, but it's full spectrum. We're talking about it's the
Yes.
whole thing. We usually
Yes.
concentrate on 1 or 2 things um, more often, right? We're often like looking to
A bit more focused on
focused
one
on one or
area.
the other,
Yes.
only because it may be a priority in that moment, right? But it should be the
Yeah.
full spectrum.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to speak to that because, again, oftentimes when people have a New Year's resolution or whatever, they just pick one thing, I'm going to
Correct.
focus on this. And that's okay. It's okay to have a
For sure.
focus on one area. But like you're saying, if we don't have the full spectrum vision, then the risk, I think, is that we focus on one and in our minds we're compromising the other.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why we need that full spectrum approach, even though we may be taking action in a more focused way on any one domain, as I call them in my work with my clients. We have a vision for all of it. So again, people can listen back to our episode on visioning, but the vision is, like you say, for a full spectrum life. And even though we might progress one area at a time, we know what we want in all of it. And because we have created a vision for all of it, then the rising boat raises all, or the raising tide raises all boats. So, I'm having that leap forward in my health, or I'm having that leap forward in my career, but everything is improving.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely when you really consider it, one does they overlap each other, right?
They
They're
complement,
they complement each other,
absolutely.
right? So it's not like you're if you focus on one, the rest of them don't work. But you have to be aware that these things do the other areas do exist, and it's really, really key to your success. You know what I'm saying
Yeah.
as you move forward.
And as you're saying it, I'm kind of thinking, well, and if people don't really believe us when we say that, I mean, we see it in the opposite all the time. When
For
my
sure.
health is compromised, it's impacting my relationships, it's impacting my job. If I'm, going through a difficult relationship, it's playing out at work and it's playing out on my sleep or my health or, my relationships with others. So like trust us when we say it, like they're
Hmm.
all integrated, and in the same way as the challenge in one can impact the others, when
Yep.
we're making progress and moving forward in one of them, it's absolutely raising up everything else. So we
Yep.
don't have to worry that we're only focusing on one or two areas at
For
any
sure.
given time. Once we're making progress anywhere, it's having a positive impact across the
Yep.
board.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So New Year's resolution time. Looking at the year, knowing that there's potential there. We've talked about vision, how important the vision may be, right? We talk about how important that the what it looks like to really do that in the future, right? Having that idea and then back engineering it a bit, right? So once you have a vision, once you know what you want, we talked about vision before, so go back and listen to the visioning one, and then come back to this one, and ultimately you have the vision, you can back engineer your goals and your ideas, and because it's going to give you different action steps, right?
Exactly, exactly. And maybe before we think about action, Gary, we said on our, in between Christmas and New Year, we did a podcast and the whole issue of longings and discontents
Oh
came up
yes,
again. So just again to speak into that for everybody listening today, that like the longings and the discontents, those are, signposts and signals to what some of the content of the vision might be. So if I'm, discontent with my weight or my level of fitness, or how I'm feeling when I wake up in the morning, we want to be paying attention to that, like you were saying on our last call. And it's not that we want to be able to tolerate it, or build a kind of being okay with it, but it's like, okay, this is not it for me.
correct.
And if I don't want to be feeling like this in the mornings, well, how do I want to be feeling? And that starts to help me to shape and articulate and
Yes,
describe what my vision for my health might be.
100%.
And, I see somebody, I used to see my brother doing the 2K swim, and there was a part of me like, I'd love to be able to do that. And that then became part of a vision and a goal for me last year.
Correct.
So really listening to those longings and discontents, and allowing them to help us shape and design and create outcomes that we would love in each of those four domains.
For sure. And you know what? It's like I talked about last time too, that little knock on the shoulder, tap on the shoulder, that little voice in your head. We tend to disregard it sometimes, right? We quickly to dismiss that and just kind of, well, I'm going to suck this up. It's just the way it is, right? We don't actually ever ask the question, well, what if I could do it differently, right?
And of course, there's another great question, isn't there, that we
There is,
use all the time,
for sure.
which is
What would I love,
exactly,
right? What would I
yes,
love
what
here?
would I love? Yeah.
And really, if I would really love X, Y, and Z, then then that really does dictate what my vision looks like, right? If I would love to do XYZ, go hike a mountain, climb Everest, whatever that might be for you, go for a walk around the block twice a day with my partner. That could be what you would love to do, right? I don't know. Like it depends. It could be as big or as small as, like I say, climbing Everest or just doing something tiny every day with someone you love. If you love that, then put that in your vision. Make sure that's part of it. 'Cause
Exactly.
it really does give you the ability then to find, which we'll talk about here, the whole idea of the action step piece, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about you talked about as well in the last time, the results formula, your thoughts and create your feelings create your actions that you take or don't take, which then dictates what kind of results you're going to get.
Results.
Um, and this is really the thinking piece. This is that thinking piece where it indicates if we think about something and we really love that, you can feel the difference in. I kind of would like that. It's a different feeling inside of you. And so that feeling piece is then what drives the actions, what it gives you. Because if you're coming from a place of vision, you're coming from a place of, I would love this, the action steps
Mhm.
are very, very different that come in.
Yes. Well, and how we take those action steps is very different
Correct.
as well. If, if I am coming from a place, I would absolutely love this outcome. And, I'm lit up at the thought of it. And, in my vision, I'm so happy and grateful that I already have it. When we're coming from that kind of action or coming from that kind of energy, when we're taking the action, it has a huge impact in terms of the ripple effect of how that action is received by others.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. When it comes to action steps, so let's say the people are following along, they've got a vision, they've set some relatively larger stretch goals for the year, like for the whole year. At the end of the year, if you look back, at the year. And if you achieve these three, let's say it's three things, I think threes are a good number. If it's only one, that's okay too. I would say three is probably the maximum we can really handle,
Yeah.
I think. And so if we look at those three priorities for the year, and if you achieve them, how different would your life be? But what would those action steps be? Like, would you break it down? I know we break things down into 90-day intervals ultimately, right? Or for us, it's like every 3 months or even 30 days just to kind of get the ball rolling.
Mhm.
Um, and this is where that accountability comes in too, right? And having that structure around you that gives you the chance to do this. But if you were to set like a month, let's say we set a resolution, we have the goals, we know what we want to do. What would you tell the clients or the people that are listening that what would be the next steps for them in that moment?
So well, I talk about it in terms of like a scaffolding image. Okay. So
Perfect.
what would be something that would be a sign and a signal that you're on your way? So for me, like if I were to take the example of the 2K swim, a sign and a signal that I was on my way was that I bought the wetsuit. I was signed up for classes. I was going swimming X number of times per
Hmm.
week. I ultimately decided I needed a coach just for that. So I sourced a coach and started to work with him
Hmm.
more one on one. So the end goal is what it is, and then when you say you're working it back, there's going to be some things that are going to be reasonably obvious that would move you in that direction.
Fair.
I mean, oftentimes we talk about going to our intuition for some of what those things would be. So it's not always I think what's hard when we talk about visioning versus projects, in the workplace, many of us are used to project management and
Fair.
project
Yes.
plans, and we know all the steps along the way. We know, when we're building a house, we know you have to do the foundations first, and then you do the walls, and then you do the roof, and then you do the internal plastering, and then the wiring, and they're like it's known. All the steps along the way are known, and the intervals can be kind of anticipated. When we have a project for our life, it's not so much like that. So we can back engineer some of it, but some of it I think is just really tuning to the vision and then going to our intuition. When we could talk maybe about we have a process called the mastery activation process that
Hmm.
that we use in our work all the time. We could maybe talk about that another day.
Hmm.
But really, what it's doing is kind of tuning to my vision and then going to the intuitive side of my nature and just kind of saying, well, what's going to move me in that direction? What's a step that could take me in that direction? And ideas will come. And some of those ideas will have a kind of, yeah, that might actually work, or that, that feels exciting, or there's a sense of relief attached to it in some way, and we go do that.
Hmm.
And again, I think very different to project plans in the workplace, as we follow the kind of breadcrumbs of,
Yeah.
okay, I could do that, and I take that action, and when we take that, then it leads to another action, and that conversation, somebody says, have you seen this opportunity? And suddenly you're in a position where you found the coach, or you hear about the job opportunity, or somebody recommends the book, but it started with, going to a networking, or having coffee in a different restaurant, or opening your email, before you go to
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
And it doesn't always make sense, and it's not always linear, but it takes us where we need to get to
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
ways that are way more, with ease, with grace, with serendipity,
Hmm.
rather than that kind of push energy of, I need to know that now, and then I need to know what happens after that. So I would say, for our listeners today, it's not about knowing every step along the way. And
Exactly.
our capacity to commit to the vision, and to commit to the results that you would love, in the absence of knowing how on earth you're going to get there,
Hmm.
is actually one of the starting points of making this a successful transformational journey for
Hmm.
2024.
Right. I think that's, you know what, I can't even, that's perfect. I love that. That's great. I love that right there. That's awesome. Um, we're coming towards the end of this episode here now. We've talked a bit about the vision. We talked about, setting a goal, smart format, or some type of like the approach, the language, and that's the idea that you will, once you have your vision and you come from your vision, you'll get the ideas that will come to you that
The
won't
ideas
that
will come.
and they won't make sense maybe in the moment, but if you just act on those intuitive ideas, you will have a better result because you're taking those steps to go forward towards that goal.
Exactly.
Um, you know, 2024 is going to be an amazing year, I believe. I'm excited for the year. I cannot wait to see what it has to hold for all of us. Um, I'm excited for our listeners to have 2024 at their fingertips, because I believe that this is if they're tuning in, they're kind of they want more out of their life. They want to find that transformation and have that change, and really see growth. And so I'm excited for them, because they're going to be exploring these things, as well as I'm going to plug you here a little bit. Maybe I'm going to say that she's got a coaching program, and if you're in, doesn't matter where you are, if you want to reach out to her and you want that structure of support around you, and you want to have someone to be accountable to you, she's a great person to have that on your side and have one in your corner to do that. And So that's what I would say, is that if you want to do it on your own, hey, give her more power to you. But I say, if you ever looking for someone, I think she's one to look for.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate that. And I know too that you have offers coming up in
Hmm.
the new year that will
I will.
support people, and especially maybe on the financial side.
Hmm.
If somebody wants to have that experience of financial freedom and financial abundance, that you have some offers in that space that
Absolutely.
can really support people.
For sure.
What I would say for everybody is, I mean, you said, yeah, you can do it alone. You can do it alone for sure. You and I, we did a lot of doing it on our own, and
Yeah.
you have a certain success with that. I mean, it's not that it doesn't work. It does. It's just it's way easier if you do it with somebody
I agree.
who knows how to create success, who's had some of the success, that you've had, who, finding people that you trust in terms of they're walking their own talk, and that they really care about you and your results. So, whether that's a coach or a mentor, or a counselor or a psychotherapist, it doesn't really matter, what label these people have, but that they have the qualities that you need, and they know how to
Yes.
create success, and
Yeah.
that they have your back. Then I would say, for any of us, if we want to shorten the time, and make 2024 the success that we'd like to experience fast, then having somebody to work with is absolutely a game changer in all of that.
I agree. 100%. Well, thank you, Maeve, again. It's been a great time here again. Once again, thanks for the listeners for listening. Thanks for tuning into us. Thanks for following us on Spotify. Of course, reach out to us on our social media if you have any questions or interact through the Spotify. Please follow us. Please, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't keep us a secret if you like what we're doing here. Share us around. Tell people about us. That'd be awesome. And once again, we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Maeve. Great insights today. Hopefully, you guys I got something out of that, even for myself. So it was awesome. So appreciate that. Thank you very much. Anything? And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, let's make 24 great.
Absolutely. 24 is going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys. See you. See
Great
you in
job.
2 weeks.
Thanks a million, Gary.